What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we have a reaction to A Tale They Won't Believe by the band Weddings, Parties, Anything, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter and patron of the channel, Anna. Thank you, Anna. I don't know anything about this song, but Anna was nice enough to tell me a little bit about why she requested it. She said for this group, she said they're an Aussie pub band. They've been around since the 80s and are a killer live band. This song is a true story about some convicts who escaped in Tasmania, the little island down the southeast corner of Australia. It's pretty wild country, and these fellows ended up taking some rather extreme measures to survive. The lead singer, Mick Thomas, is a great songwriter and has worked with Billy Bragg. And the narrator of this story, Alexander Pierce, died in July of 1824, is an Irish convict who was transported to the penal colony in Tasmania for 7 years for theft. He escaped from prison several times. During one of these escapes, he allegedly became a cannibal, murdering his companions one by one. In another escape with one companion, he allegedly killed him and ate him in pieces. I guess the original Hannibal Lecter, huh? He was eventually captured and was hanged for murder and later dissected. My goodness, Anna has taken this thing to an extreme. This song is not on Spotify, at least here in the States. They do have a few songs on Spotify. So I'm pulling it off of YouTube, but it's off of the album that was supposed to be on, so you won't see a video or anything. Just letting you guys know that. I'll have the lyrics up. I do have those, and I'll tell you my thoughts at the end of it. Thanks again, Anna. Yeah, man, let's go.
Macquarie Harbour, it was in the pouring rain. None of us quite sure if we would see England again. Some film muttered death or liberty. There were 6 of us together, a jolly hungry crew. And as the days went by, you know, our hunger quickly grew. Some film muttered death or liberty. So that night we made fires out of twigs and out of bark, and our stomachs they were rumbling all through the night so dark, wondering, trying to keep ourselves alive. And when the sun it rose next morning, what a 6 and 10 5. Another one, don't you frown, shoot the meat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. But I get down to Hobart Town.
Hobart Town is Tasmania now, that's what I read.
The 5 of us were nervous, and I tell you that's a fact. But you should have seen the bastard who was carrying the axe. He was a sick man, he had murder in his heart. And then we reached the Franklin River, and it took 2 days to cross. We were wet and almost starving, and for food we're at a loss. We were hungry men with murder on our minds. So that night we made fires out of twigs and out of bark, and our stomachs they were rumbling all
I know where this is going.
So dark, and they were making noises the deaf could not ignore. And when the sun came up next morning, well, a 5 turned to 4, and I said, right, there's another one, don't you frown, chew the meat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. When I get down to Hobart Town, while the 4 of us kept marching to a place called Western Tears, a country full of tasty game. For us it lent no cheer. We had no guns, we were traveling without hope. But the axe it loomed so ominous, God's hand was at play. For a sick man is a type of game which cannot run away. So stay easy, my good man, your time's at hand.
So here we go.
We made fires out of twigs and out of bark, and our stomachs they were rumbling all through the night so dark. I can't say that I feel guilty, 'cause after all it wasn't me. But when the sun came up next morning, when I 4 had turned to 3, and I said, right, there's another one, don't you frown, chew the meat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. When I get down to Hobart Town, the 3 of us kept moving, but one was sinking fast. He'd been bitten by a snake, and you could see he would not last. So stay easy, my poor man, your time's at hand. Then when he could march no longer, his time was there at last. We were far too weak to carry him. Subsistence, it comes first. Stay easy, my good man, your turn's out.
It'll be fine, my good
So
man.
that night, we made fires out of twigs and out of bark, and our stomachs, they were rumbling all through the night so dark. It was a message off, but it was one we had to do. And when the sun came up next day, guess what? The three had turned to two. And I said, rock as no one, don't you frown. Shoot the beat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. When I get down to Hobart, now he had been looking at me funny, sort of eyeing me for days. And you would not need to be too bright to know that bastard's ways. He was a sick man, he had murder in his heart. But even bastards have to rest, and even bastards have to sleep. And when he was in the land of Nod, straight over I did creep. And the axe that he had wielded now was mine. So that night I made the fire out of twigs and out of bark, and my stomach, it kept rumbling all through the night so dark. I can't say that I enjoyed it, and it wasn't exactly fun. But when the sun came up next morning, well, I two and turned to one, and I said, right, there's another one, don't you frown. Shoot the beat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. But I get down to Hobart Town, down to Hobart Town.
Man, this is so well done. Like, lyrically, obviously, it's great, but instrumentally, it's fantastic.
Now history is a pack of lies, as any fool can tell. So when I got down to Hobart Town, I told my story well. But do you think they would believe one word I said? For they thought that I was covering for my mates still at large. Said they'd be roaming in the bush so wild and free. Back to old Macquarie Harbour they sent me. But I remembered the fires made of twigs and made of bark, and my stomach, it kept rumbling all through the night so dark. And this young fool, he just said to me, hey, it's liberty or death. And it looks a rather tasty one, but this time I'll go north and I'm singing. Right, there's another one, don't you frown. Shoot the beat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe. When I get down, when I get down, when I get down to Hobart Town.
A tale they won't believe. I'll tell you what, I don't throw this term around lightly. That is an absolutely epic song. I mentioned it during the song. The instrumentation is fantastic. The drumming is great. It's driving through. At the very end, when it comes way back and draws back, you just get the drumming. And then you get a little bit of bass in there, adds to the drama. But what a story, right? It's a 7+ minute song, and you never get bored. I mean, it just draws you in right away. You know, they left in the pouring rain. There were 6 of them, a jolly hungry crew. So you already knew this is the first verse. And as the days went by, our hunger quickly grew. Some fool muttered death or liberty. And then we just get into the repeating motif. So that night we made fires out of twigs and out of bark. And our stomachs, they were grumbling all through the night so dark. We were only trying to keep ourselves alive. But when the sun came up next morning, well, the 6 had turned to 5. And so as their journey goes on, we get back into that every time. They come across the Franklin River, and the 5 had turned to 4. And I said, right there's another one. Don't you frown, chew the meat, and hold it down. It's the tale they won't believe when I get down to Hobart Town. And then they keep marching, and they went in this area where there was full of game, but they had no guns, so they couldn't do anything. So A sick man is a type of game which cannot run away, so stay easy, my poor man. Your time's at hand. So that night we made fires out of twigs and out of bark. So it just repeats that. The three of us kept moving, but one was fading fast. He'd been bitten by a snake, so at least this one was dying. And he makes the case they couldn't carry him. I mean, he's too heavy, so they just went ahead and ate him. But now you got a problem, right? Because now you're down to 2. And then it gets a little dicey, right? And he says that the guy had been looking at him funny, sort of eyeing me for days, and he would not need to be too bright to know that bastard's ways. He was a sick man. He had murder in his heart. But even bastards have to rest, and even bastards have to sleep. And when he was in the land of Nod, straight over to creep, and the axe that he wielded now was mine. So that night I made the fire out of twigs and out of bark, and he ends up taking this guy out. And so now he gets caught, right? And they don't believe him what happened. They think his mates are still at large. So they take him back to prison. But and he gets into the thing. He said, this young fool, he just said to me, it's liberty or death, which remember, that's how it started out. And then they ended up eating somebody. And he looked a rather tasty one. I could just not help it singing. And I said, right there's another one. Don't you frown, chew the meat and hold it down. It's a tale they won't believe when I get down to Hobart Town, a tale they won't believe. Wow, man, that song is like, I mean, I don't rate songs a lot anymore, but I mean, that song's like an 8.5. This is just an epic song, man. This is an epic song. Love this song. Anna, thanks so much for bringing this one to me. Thanks everybody for watching. If you like to be a patron like Anna and support us anyway, check out the link in the description below for our Patreon page or the link on the end screen that's about to hit, guys. Until next time, I will see you.